Hi, my name is Rolando Fori, the corporate nosy guy. In this episode, we want to have a very interesting conversation about how businesses can be profitable. It is known that the reason why businesses exist is to make profit. But this assumption can become elusive because we all know that not all businesses are able to turn in profitability year on year. To help us appreciate this topic is one of the finest leaders and minds in the world of finance, in the person of Teye Mkushi. So if you are ready, let's get nosy.
So my name is Teye Mkushi. If you're wondering, Teye is Yoruba and Mkushi is Zimbabwean. I grew up in Lagos and I've spent a good chunk of my later education in the UK. I've been working with Diageo, which is the parent company for Guinness Ghana, for about 15 years in different roles, starting from the UK with a regional Africa role, then in the GB business, and then more recently in Hungary, and now in Ghana. Things that I particularly enjoy is a chance to be able to impact others. And I find that Diageo has been a great place for giving me a voice and giving me a platform to be able to do that. Yeah, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it, I guess. I think there are many reasons that businesses struggle to stay profitable. But I think some of the most common themes is I think any good business needs to have a really viable product that consumers want to buy, that makes a difference to consumers' lives. And with that, you need to have a strong route to market because very rarely, I think maybe now with the digital age, you're able to do things more single-handedly. But even then, you need to get your product from wherever you make it to the consumer. So having a strong route to market is key. And once you have those two components, you're on your way. But the profit really comes in the balance between your pricing and your cost. And you need to be quite thoughtful about how you can set that in a sustainable way. There's no point making a massive amount of profit for selling one item if you can't repeat that exercise over the long term. But then also going too low and selling it at a loss ends up creating problems as well. I think, aside from what I mentioned earlier, strong leadership and I think a belief in what you're doing as a business owner is key. I think being able to look around at what your competition is doing and being clear about what unique white space you're trying to address, I think are all strong enablers to help you stand out from the pack because I think many people are trying many things and key to be successful is also to have that differentiator and to be quite consistent in your messaging with respect to that. So COVID-19 has been a masterclass for businesses on change management and agility. I think the businesses that have thrived, even in these very tragic and turbulent times, have been the ones that have looked externally at the trends and borrowed learnings from other businesses or countries on what would work and to apply in their context. I think the other thing that has made a difference for the businesses that have survived is just around how quickly you respond to changes that happen in your environment, because in the end, it's all in the pace of the response, but staying true to the intention of the business to start with. So having still a very important social and moral compass in those decisions, because ultimately tough times come and go, and what consumers and other customers and partners will remember is how they were treated through those times. So whilst everyone's trying to survive, I think it's important that you don't lose the essence of the business and the values that you want to be standing for as a corporation. I think for businesses to be profitable now, they need to be sustainable. I think I know you're coming across in terms of sustainability around the socio-economic impacts. That's what you're using that word for. But I think there's also the bit around being a going concern and a business that is here today and will be still here tomorrow. In order to be able to be that type of business, you need to have a very strong core and presence in the community that you are serving. Businesses that have ignored this have done this at their own risk and to their own detriment, because what we are seeing is a lot of consumers are able to vote with their money. And what we've seen is a growing trend of people looking for a sense of community, a sense of giving back, and therefore looking for businesses that are aligned to that purpose that they have. If COVID has taught us anything, is the idea that we all need each other and we all have ripple impacts on each other as well. And so, being a business that, looks to have a positive impact in the community you operate in is something that would always pay back. It can sometimes feel intangible, but I think the most important things in business often are intangible. And so definitely worthwhile an investment that a business should be making. You caught me out there because there is no business that can really operate without its people. And that's where the employees come into play. I think for employees to be able to have the most positive impact, they need to be really clear around what the business is trying to achieve and what their specific role within that objective is. They need to be given the freedom to also bring forward ideas, because I really believe that two brains and maybe 10,000 are better than one. And I think having a sense of where their strengths are, where the development areas are, and working really collaboratively with the various skill sets in the business to get the most optimum combination of team effort to deliver the goal, I think will be what makes the difference. It's interesting the words you choose to address the question. I prefer to think about it as right-sizing, so making sure that the organizational structure is fit for the purpose that the organization wants to achieve. So it's not inevitable that you have to downsize in order to be profitable. I think it all depends on the context. If you're a business that is growing very rapidly, more likely than not, you're going to need to hire more. If you're a business that is more established and perhaps looking for more efficiencies, then perhaps there's opportunity then to review who does what in what way. I think automation and digitalization is also changing the way of work. So what perhaps used to take a day in the past now takes minutes. And I think it's important for businesses to keep pace with that and continually review what the resource requirements are. For the objectives that they're trying to achieve. So yeah, governments and consumers and customers play a major role, because I don't think you can create a business in a vacuum, right? The government sets the regulatory framework, but they also have their own policy objectives as well, and your business will be a contributor to the GDP growth and revenue stream for that government. The other thing I would say is the consumers are the ones that you're targeting to buy the goods. The customers and suppliers are the partners that help you bring the item together. So definitely everybody across the value chain has a different role to play. And I think it's really important that as you're creating your business, you're conscious of these relationships, the interdependencies that they have, and also that you seek to put yourself in the shoe of the other stakeholder in a way that you can anticipate what they're looking for to help you be more persuasive in getting what you're looking for as well. So cost and pricing are the obvious things people think about when it comes to profit, but there are other factors that are important to bear in mind as well. You can start essentially with the engine of the business, right? So all businesses will need working capital to be able to set up to produce whatever the product is. And I think beyond the working capital, those long-term capital investments need to be made very choicefully so that you are putting fuel at the right parts of your engine. I think the other aspect that is worth bearing in mind is the mix of products and mix of customers, channels that you want to approach, because not every product will be as profitable as the next. Neither will every customer be as valuable as the next one. So obviously you're trying to grow your mix in the most profitable direction possible, going for the most profitable brands and customers. But I think it's a fine balance, like I mentioned earlier, in terms of you need to grow and have scale. And so whilst you're managing the mix of your business, you're also looking to manage the top line growth and ensuring that whatever profit that you do make, you're very conscious about reinvesting that so that you get a virtuous cycle of profit generation for the future. Yeah, I think it's important for any business struggling. The first step is to identify the problem and to really reflect on if you're a business that at one point was not struggling. What is it that made things work really well, and what is it that has changed since then? I think once you're able to distill what the root causes are, I think it's really important that you bring focus, right, to what you do next. Because, there are many aspects of business that could be distressed at any one point in time, but there's often a critical path that can make the biggest difference. And quite often for small business owners, it will be about how you manage the working capital cycle of your business, but also how you're able to get return on your investment. So usually you would have locked a certain amount in that business. And so having throughput in terms of number of customers and sales, I think really helps to kind of get through. The other thing I would say is don't be afraid to partner with businesses next to you. In these times, sometimes when you're a small business, it's in the collaboration with what would have appeared to be your competitor that you can end up emerging stronger, right? So I would say don't be afraid to reach out in that regard. There are also lots of schemes and, bigger corporations that are looking to make a difference and looking to support small businesses through this difficult time. So looking out and, keeping your ear to the ground in terms of where these funding opportunities might be coming from will be an important source of difference as you try to recover. Yeah, I mean, to all the new graduates out there, I think, it's a tough time to be graduating, but it's also an exciting time to be graduating, because definitely what this crisis has done has been a little bit of a catalyst in terms of the world will never be the same. I think we'll all remember kind of pre-COVID and now what we are doing post-COVID. And not everything that's come out of it is bad. I think there have been some really great breakthroughs in terms of opening up our minds to flexible working, opening up our minds to, the combination of skills required for any one business to achieve its objective. So if you're a graduate coming out just in this time, I think be bold and creative as to how you approach your career. It might not be the obvious graduate program, in quotes, but I think, look out for industries that are emerging and have got a strong sense of relevance for the future. Obviously, digital businesses are like the place most people look to, but I would say that there's a lot happening in other sectors as well, where someone with your context, because quite a few of these businesses are targeting people of your age group, people that would be I guess in the millennials spectrum, if I can call it that. And you can bring a very unique perspective to help those businesses identify with these target consumers. So once you've kind of distilled like where it is you want to find yourself, I think making contacts, using relationships to kind of get through the door. And once you're through the door, staying very curious, right? So I ask a lot of questions, and I'd encourage anyone coming out of uni to really appreciate the fact that learning is continuous. Maybe you thought you were done, but actually you're going to carry on learning every day. And the day that you stop learning, you should be really worried and actually look to change your context and environment. I will call my husband because that is my partner in life. I think the last thing I bought in traffic was a box of tissues, and yes, I do that. I think it's one of the only advantages of being stuck in traffic in our society is that actually the shops come to you. So yeah, that's the last thing I bought. Wow. If I was made president of my country, my first action would be to put in some legislation that essentially requires all individuals within the government to use the services that they govern, because I think when you're the end user of what you're creating, you're likely to think more clearly about what needs to change and look to improve that.